A family without a vision will fight each other. A family without a vision will fight each
The
other.
reason why families fight is because we were put on this earth to have dominion, a kingdom. We all want to control something. So if the family doesn't have a mission, the mission of the family becomes to tear each other up. What else you gonna do? You were created on this earth to have dominion. That's why when you get in a job, you want to excel. You start a business, you want to grow it. You get one car, you want to get another one. You get a house, you want to get a bigger house. You got this girl, but you know what I mean? So we all are wanting to conquer something. But when your family has no mission, you end up conquering each other. When your family, y'all are building a family, if y'all don't have a mission on where you want BWR to go, the vision of it, and if anyone's not aligned, I love you, but we got to keep moving forward. It's easy that way. It's like saying, hey, let's start a business. Let's get a corporation. Let's get a product. But
after that, we just leave it to the wind, huh?
and when you understand the mission, you're going to have slip ups. Bro, I ain't the best, right? You're going to fall. You're going to be distracted. But what keeps you glued, what keeps y'all from quitting on each other is when you can go back to the blueprint and say, this is what we're fighting for. Are you still on point? Yep. Are you still on point? All right. Well, we got to clear this up because we both are committed to the mission. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They don't realize it. And it has a lot to do with not having an identity.
A family without a vision will fight each other. Humble Dad, go ahead and go first. I'm going to go to Trio.
Proverbs 29:18 talks about without a vision, the people perish. I mean, if you don't know where you're going, you don't have no leadership, then you're going to be pretty chaotic. I mean, you talk about any type of team that we're into sports, all of us, most of us, I would say. And we can see the dysfunction of teams when there is no leadership, there is no vision, there is no structure, and people are at odds with each other. So I definitely believe that. I mean, me as a man of trying to start a family again, I understand like when I was without my late wife, I was discombobulated. And now that I have Kendra, things are different. You know what I'm saying? My kids are comfortable in the position of where they're going to be. And I've set a vision of where we're going to go. She's comfortable. Everybody's comfortable and moving towards that direction as opposed to not having the vision. Now it's like, okay, when is anything going to get done and how are things going to get done? And so what's going on right now is that, as I've talked before, some men, not all, but I don't know the number, but men don't really have a vision of what it is that they want to do as it relates to moving forward with a legacy. They would prefer to, run the streets and whatnot. And as a result, we can blame whoever, but I'm gonna go with on this part as far as leadership is from the man's perspective. When the man doesn't have a vision, then how can the woman follow him? And then how can they? And once they procreate, then what is it that's going to be happening? And so there is constantly a dysfunction currently, but and as a result, we are where we are. So of course, a family without a vision will fight each other. Even my own family, like it's not a grandfather, it's not a father. The men, the stronger men, the older men in our family don't really take control of the women that are very combative. They just let the women do whatever, so to speak, because they're older. And as a result, there's a lot of confusion, right? So I totally agree with that. There needs to be a man leading and providing the vision and everybody knowing their role and taking their place.
I don't disagree with anything Humble Dad said. I think dude in the video saying something I feel like it's pretty obvious. Sounded like word salad to me, if I'm gonna be honest, because essentially it sounds like what he's saying is as long as you have vision, there will be no fighting. That's not true. It's not true. You know how many Fortune 500 companies, family owned, that'll cut each other throat to assume the power, assume the throne, assume the most money, assume to be the head, assume to be the face. Fact is, man, is that people are just naturally greedy. Some people are. Most people are. We're gonna be honest. As long as that's the case, no matter what the vision is, the vision may get us there. But when we get there, shit'll fall apart. Why you think rap groups don't stay together? Singing groups don't stay together. Groups in general don't stay together for long. It's because at some point, Somebody's gonna want to step out and take sole claim or take ownership, or I need to be the reason we won. So regardless of who's leading, let's say that we do have the patriarch of the family leading or whatever, but let's say that somebody under him feel like they doing more work than anything to get us where we need to go. That's gonna be resentment built there. Shit, it'd be resentment built when somebody not doing the work. Resentment just for not being in your spot. And us being family does not negate that. So that's my only issue with it, is because, like I said, it would make it seem like as long as there's vision, that there will be no, what's the word, fighting. That's not true. Like I said, there's so many rich families, billionaires. You look at the Menendez brothers and shit like that, to where people trying to force their kid into the family, into the vision, and they don't want to go. And instead of saying, being understanding and say, you know what, man, I'm gonna just let you go do what you want to do. I'm gonna get behind what your passions or whatever you want to do is. They'll either try to cut him off or they'll try to force him into it. And that right there builds up resentment. Now, we didn't all bought into the vision. Clearly, we rich, we billionaires, we millionaires. But that doesn't stop infighting. Also, when people die, we see a bunch of fighting amongst people that was invested into the vision, right? But when that person is dead, again, that greed that I spoke about kicks in. And just because we are family, that does not make us immune. So that's my only take on that. Again, it sounded great, like most clips that go viral. But when you break it down to the root, it sound a lot like word salad to me.
RJD, what are your thoughts about it, sir? A family without a vision will fight each other.
Well, I'm with Trill on this one, man. Like, my family's, I talk from where my own experience. My family is a family that's consistently fighting. We from the top to the bottom. The vision is my grandfather set a vision for the family from day one. But like you said, Trill, when that man closed his eyes, that greed woke up. And everyone who was so-called behind that plan wanted their own way, right? They wanted their own way to show through in that vision. And that right there has destroyed the family in ways that to this day we still try to put it back together. And my grandfather's been dead over 30 some odd years. So that the statement of a family without a vision is going to fight, I can't get behind it. They're going to fight regardless. Family is family and they people. So they're going to fight regardless. I got 2 kids here under the age of 6. They fight over toys, food, clothes, anything that's possible to fight over, they're going to fight over. And so from children on up, man, it's the same way. I think that when we know the vision and we all bought into it, the way we seen ourselves in that vision, like we see yourself inside of someone, the vision itself. If you can see yourself, if you can see yourself inside of someone else's vision, the family vision, you won't have no problem. And so my personal thing is, bring everyone in, like you said, Trill. If you bring someone into the division, like my son, he gets older, he doesn't want to do what I'm doing. Cool, no doubt. Go about what you want to do. I'm gonna help you do that. But at the same time, don't forget about the family. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget about the home base. So that's just my outtake on it, man.
All right.
And
Go ahead, Trill.
I was just gonna say real quick, man, and I just want to get this out real quick. Just because there's a vision doesn't mean, but just because the patriarch of the family or the leader of the family has a vision, that doesn't mean that that's everybody else's vision, everybody else's goal. And I feel like that right there is probably the main issue in terms of what's, disarray and dysfunction happens. Because like I said, you'll literally have people trying to force their family into this line of work or this line of vision that I had. I was watching a show on Netflix called From Scratch. I don't know if y'all seen it or not, but it's a hell of a show. But in the show, the dad's like an old school Italian guy. Like my vision for this family is me working the fields, we gardeners, we doing this. The son wanted to go be an artist. And instead of, again, getting behind his son and, helping him go chase his dream, he cut his son off. Didn't speak to him for decades. Every time the son tried to call, I don't want to talk to him. The son got married. He didn't show up to the wedding. All because he didn't want to buy into this vision that the quote unquote leader of the family had. Right. So again, I just want to say, just because that's your vision doesn't mean that's going to be everybody else's vision, and that alone is going to create infighting.
But if there's a leader, but as a leader, you're supposed to set a vision, right? And and so if that person doesn't have a vision, it's going to be worse off, right? Like the fighting will happen. We take sports, right? Shaq and Kobe fought all the time, right? Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan fought all the time, right? But they had a leader that set what the vision was going to be. And even Dennis Rodman being in that particular position, he was chaotic as well. But because the leader had a particular control on what the destination was, yes, they fought, but they was able to achieve success because they ultimately fell in line with what the goal was, and that was to win the championship. So yeah, I guess I seen it as, yes, people are gonna. I agree with you that they're gonna fight regardless, but if there's a leader there and he has set the vision, the fighting is not going to be the same. Is what I would propose.
But see, my only rebuttal to that would be, right. Let's take that Chicago Bulls team, right. Mike did have a vision, sure, but just like you said, they had Dennis Rodman, who had visions of his own, Scotty, who had visions of his own, right. But the thing about dope part about Mike, what made Mike a dope ass leader, is when Dennis Rodman needed to go disappear for them 3-4 days or them 2 weeks to go on that Vegas binge run and do cocaine and mess with white women and all that shit, Mike let him go do it. Why? Because I know when he comes back, I'm going to get the best version of him, right? And that's what a true leader does. I'm going to let everybody in this vicinity contribute to this situation in the way in which I know that I'll get peak efficiency out of them, right? I'm not going to say, no, just because I'm in the gym at 4 a.m. every day and I'll train, I got 3 or 4 sessions, everybody on this team is going to be in the gym at 4 a.m. every day and have 3 or 4 sessions, right? But a lot of leaders tend to do that, right? And in the process of that, you lose soldiers. People tend to fall off the ship, this, that, and the third. So again, we gotta speak to that nuance if we're gonna use those type of examples. Mike let them be them.
No, it was Phil.
Hey,
But
I was going to say the same thing.
Wait. I'm about to say I'm with you, Trill, and I agree with
the principle's on point, but that was Phil.
Was on point. You're 100%, but it wasn't MJ, because MJ said in that documentary he looked at Phil when Phil told him let him go. He's like, what? He wanted to snap. So but your principle doesn't nothing change. I just want to.
Yeah, and which is actually what I was going to get at, Humble Dad, because I heard 3 key words. You talked about vision, you said leadership, and then you used the word control, right? So a visionary is not necessarily a leader, right? Like as a man, like if we're going to be the epitome of what we should strive to be, we should be a visionary on some level as well as a leader. MJ was definitely a visionary. He had a vision of the championship for sure, right? But like Rashawn's pointing out, the leadership part came from Phil Jackson. So leadership is not that other word you use, control. So I didn't watch the movie. Sure, what you said it was From Scratch.
From Scratch.
Yeah. I didn't watch that, but from as you describing it, okay, if the dad's got a vision, for what the family's doing in his vineyard or whatever, but his son is going off to be an artist, it's lacking in leadership.
Or pardon me, chef. He was going off to be a chef. I just want to correct.
Going off to be a chef. Right. As I would say there's some deficiency in leadership for not being able to, if you're a visionary and you also have leadership, and you know that part of your mission, now we bring another word in, mission. So part of your mission as a visionary is to also lead a tribe of people, that I'm going to evolve my vision to be big enough to make space for other people's vision to fit inside of that, right? Like RJD said, if I can see myself in the vision, then we can minimize and negate the infighting. So if I got a vision that we're doing this vineyard, and I don't know if they're doing wine or whatever, and you want to go be a chef, why can't I expand the vision? That's easy to go hand in hand, right? Like I could expand the vision as a leader and cut some of that out. So yeah, I definitely think that's important to the conversation. But to bring it all the way back, I definitely agree with Trill's initial assessment, you know, that fighting happens with and without a vision. And even if you don't have a vision, fighting is not the only option. Sometimes you see families that don't have a vision, well, they just disperse and just go their own ways. Like we, you know, my family is not like super tight knit like that. Like I'm over here, I'm doing my thing. It ain't necessarily fighting. We cool, you know. I'm in the, you know, I got the little family cousin group chat. It's on silent because I don't need my phone getting hazed all the time. But I'm just over here. I ain't got no issue with you, you know. But and I'm close with some, you know, some of my family. Don't get it twisted, but you know, that's an option too. It don't got to be fighting. It could just be you end up not being like super tight knit, you know, if there's no vision.
Well,
so,
James,
options.
The word is acceptance. The thing that we have to have along with the leadership and the vision is acceptance. I think too many people don't want to accept what's actually going on in front of them, whether it's a family, whether it's a business. Everybody can't go because it's like, even if you got you know, a group of people looking to build something or go in a certain direction, at some point somebody's going to want to go in another direction. And what happens is, if you don't already have the acceptance built in before you start building whatever it is you're building, you're going to depend on the other people so much where when, not if, somebody pulls out, you're not going to be prepared to take that spot or add somebody else in that spot, because you're depending on these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people to build this vision with you. It's your vision. And people have the right to change their mind, whether it's a marriage or a family or a business or whatever. Things change, but too many people don't understand what change, how important change actually is. There's always going to be change. One guarantee in life that's going to change is change. So once we get to the point as individuals where we're willing to accept that your wife is going to leave, your wife is going to do this, or your husband is whatever, no matter what it is, and you are actually able to accept the fact that this is coming to an end, or this business is about to separate, or I'm going to sell my part of the business, or I want to go in another direction, and that's already embedded in your mind in the beginning. Now you already you're one step ahead of that person that's pulling away or changing whatever, you know, whatever they want to do versus you. And it doesn't hurt so much, because once you get to the point where you're like, okay, I accept this person, or I accept this family member for who they want to be, just like what Trill was saying. It's important for that man to accept the fact that his son wants to go be a chef. Support that man. Like, I think it's selfish when we have a vision and we just have this assumption that everybody believes in a vision as much as we do. That almost doesn't make a lot of sense. We are human beings, and we all have the right to change our mind. So we can all be going in one direction. And at some point, just like all of us on this show right now, some of us or one of us may go in a totally different direction next month. Is JR going to accept the fact that, you know what, I appreciate you, do what you do? Or is he going to be like, yo, that's fucked up, I can't believe you. Man, what is wrong with you? Now there's a problem. But as long as JR or whoever looked and said, okay, I accept the fact that all these men or whoever are their own people, and at some point they may leave, they may change, they may do this, they may do that. Acceptance is the thing that actually lets them back if you're okay with accepting them back. So acceptance works by letting them go, and acceptance works when you let them back, if you want to do that.
How's that working out for us, though, Mr. Let Go, as a community? You see, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You know what? We're all, you know, everybody has free will and can go do what they want to do and let the children grow up and be what they want to be. And, you know, and I support whatever you desire. Well, even if it's playing in the NFL and the NBA, which is 80% of the black kids in high school. But how's that working out for us in the long run? Because all this individualism got everybody competing against everybody. It seems to be in the black community particularly. Whereas I look at other communities and them motherfuckers is like, this is what we doing. And then if that don't work for you or you get bored with that, then you can go play around what you think you want to do. And the ones that ran off and did whatever the fuck they want to do, they out there starving artists. But the families that have this structure and organization put in place, the ones that say, look, man, listen, I get it. I understand. We hear the jokes. Oh, you're going to be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer or some shit. That's what you hear from every African family or every Indian family. You're going to be an engineer, right? These motherfuckers has got, but we talk about, look at them other communities, got their shit together. Us over here, all individuals. So I'm going to sell hair and you going to be a real estate agent and you going to fucking aspire to be a fucking rapper, and everybody's all over the place and there's no organization, there's no plan, because we're all have free will to change our minds. And then if I allow you to come back after that fucking thing that you wanted to go do failed, and now we got to readjust. And then once you get over here and you get your money up, now you got $1,500 in the bank. You want to run off again. It just seems, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know that that's necessarily working out for us in the long run, especially those that want to save the community. We need to get back to some structure, right? Don't we, Mr. Let Go? Don't you think that we need to get back to, look, I know that's what you think you want to do, but it ain't gonna work. You're not a good rapper, son. So let that shit go. You're good here. I know you don't think that you want to do that, but that's what's gonna save your ass. You don't think that that's necessary right now?
Let me add to this. Do y'all know when they build bridges, there's a certain amount of leeway that the bridge can bend, go down, up, or whatever, depending on, you know, weight or whatever. You feel me? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. There's a certain we have too much rigidity when it comes to interpersonal relationships. I'm not saying everybody should just go be on their own. We just have to accept it when it actually happens instead of getting mad. Because I think in our black community, we get mad at people when they don't do what we want them to do. So it's not about individualism. That person is an individual. It's a difference between an individual and individualism. We got to accept people for who they are. So there's a certain amount of, like I said, we have to have a thought in our, it's like getting married and you have a prenuptial agreement. That is the acceptance of the fact that this marriage may not work out. It's not, I hope this marriage don't work out. It's if this marriage doesn't work out, we took care of that already. So it's about the acceptance that this, whatever this is, may not go the way we planned. And it's the same shit that women do. They go in a relationship with all these expectations and then get mad when it don't work out. Men don't think like that. Men have embedded acceptance that, hey, I understand the world. Shit is going to change. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
But when you don't do that, that is when you screw yourself over. You screw the business over. You screw the family over because you're depending on one particular person or one group of people way too much. I always learned from a millionaire friend, every business that you have to be in position to sell it no matter what happens, because there always has to be an exit strategy. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, well, let me just throw my part in it. Based on what Trill was saying, fighting is going to happen, vision or not. I think what's missing in the statement was scrolling across the screen. A family without vision will fight each other. A family without vision and a proper plan. See, a proper plan is the thing that we're lacking in the black community for sure, without a doubt. And I think Humble Dad was getting ready to touch on this. And that's where, you know, we start talking about basketball and field night and all that kind of stuff. You know, the pregame and the postgame. You know, vision is just surface level, you guys. Everybody that's in the chat listening to us, I don't give a fuck about your surface level vision. This is what we're gonna have. We're gonna have a 10,000 square foot house, sports car, truck, and a sedan to drive the family. That's what we're gonna have. That's the surface level shit. You just work hard and get to the next job, and then I'm gonna get this job and I'm gonna be here for 3. That's still surface level. You got to get down to the details, to the nitty gritty details of your program, fellas. Don't, how do I say this? I just started a new partnership for one of my fashion brands with somebody, right? And I'm the general partner. And in clause, I think I put in there the morals and code of conduct and the performance that my partners must do. Because I've invested too much money and time on this brand that's already built. It's a turnkey business. They just got to come in and make money, right? But I put a performance clause in our contract. And in there, it said that you must attend meetings. In there, it said you can't talk shit about Shannon on social media. In there, it said you cannot hang up in my face if you get mad at me. In there, it said you cannot disparage my companies. I put in there all kind of shit. In there, it said that you can't wear certain. I put in there to protect my brand and protect myself before I turn the key over to somebody else to make money. Families need contracts these days, if you ask my personal opinion.
That's on individualism, Shan. Go ahead.
No, families need contracts, and to put people in place and talk about the smallest details, the level, go deeper than the surface level of this is we're gonna survive and we're gonna win, and our child is gonna go to this college, and then you're gonna be and we're gonna live in this house. You have to get down to the small details, and this is why I'm really speaking to men that are single, who are dating but don't have a program. Because if you're already in a marriage, it may be kind of tough to odds are it's going to be difficult to change on a dime with a woman who may become contentious if you just start changing up shit. But for guys, you always hear if a man gave me something to follow, or if I had a reason to something to submit to, then I would be a submissive woman. Fellas, when I say that you need to, I think Mr. Lego said, if you build a bus and your bus is going a certain way, getting on my bus, this is what we're doing. But you can't just have a bus. You have to break it down specifically. So you have to talk about things like if somebody dies, if somebody decides to change their mind.
It's called protocol.
Yeah,
protocol. Ain't got no protocol.
Contingency plan.
Contingency. You got to talk about all of those little things in the event that such and such gets an A. And then once we make $10 million as a family, then what? Once we get the Super Bowl ring, or once we win the NBA championship, then what? I think somebody mentioned rap groups break up. Yes, they do. You know why? Because they didn't talk about the fucking small details. Well, what happens when we go on tour? And what happens when we start selling merch? And what happens if one of us gets sick or one of us breaks a leg? What happens if one of us gets more pussy than the other one? What happens if we do this, that, and then next thing you know, somebody wants to be a bigger singer than the next. Somebody thinks that they got more stage time. You should have talked about that before you guys blew up. So in a family without a vision and a proper plan that's telling everybody this is what we're gonna do. And I'm talking to the men now, right? I'm talking to the kings. This is what we're gonna do under this plan and program that anybody decides to get on. That if anybody wants to ride on my bus that I'm creating, this is what your position is, and this is what you're gonna do. And in the event that you don't play your position, this is what's gonna happen without you. But we never have that conversation. We just talk about getting a 10,000 square foot house and a Mercedes Benz and going on vacations 3 times a year. Ow.
So Shan,
if you guys, gentlemen, let me land right here. Gentlemen, young men that are single, men that are interested in building a family, the men that are out there dating women and they want them to to have children with them. They want to marry them. They want to create a legacy. They want to create a family. Before you even start there, write a contract that you will be able to implement and put in place with your family to make sure everybody does everything that they're supposed to do. All the way down to the smallest details. If somebody hurts themselves, if somebody breaks a leg, if somebody loses a tooth, if somebody loses their job, somebody gets a raise, if we make an extra $1 this week, this is what we're going to do. If we don't meet our goals by Friday, this is what we'll do. Break all of that shit down. And I just think that things will work out well. Because if it works like that in business, I can't imagine it not working in personal relationships. I didn't do that. I wish I did. That's why I'm twice divorced now. I wish I had set that stuff up in place, but I just thought it was supposed to work. You know, go to pray and be happy and have sex and it'll all work out. I didn't plan my marriage. I planned my wedding. I had a cold wedding. That was cold-blooded, boy. You should see the photos. But my marriage, I had no plan for that. So if you plan your vision, you can have fuck the vision. If you plan what you're gonna do, all the little details, I don't think you'll have to worry about anybody fucking up anything. And if they do, you plan for that already.